10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. 10, 9, 8, 7, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hello, everyone. Welcome, Toya King, Ashmont Realty, here on this lovely Wednesday evening to introduce you to our presenter for the evening. Her name is Lauryn Francisco, better known as Linda Girl Lauryn. She's with Cardinal Financial, and she is a wealth of information. So we're really excited to bring her live to you guys this evening. Lauryn, take the floor.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Linda Girl Lauryn. So happy to be here with you guys, and for all those of you online, hello. Thanks for letting me come. We're here to talk about something that's just a little important these days, like marketing and getting yourself out there. So hopefully some of these tips will be helpful for you guys, and I might make you talk and answer questions. So be ready to be engaged. So a little bit about me. I've been in lending since 2012, which is fine because I started when I was 16, so I'm not that old. Just kidding. But yeah, it's been over 10 years, and sometimes I go, wow, it's been a long time I've been in lending. It's my full-time career, and I love it. This is what I do. I am a certified veteran mortgage advisor. I'm on the Veteran Lending Council, so the Veteran Mortgage Advisor Program, and I know we're not here to talk VA loans because I can talk about that all day, but we have a program that teaches and trains loan officers all across the country how to do VA transactions better. We're also rolling out a program for realtors called Veteran Housing Advisor next year that will be for agents. So if I'm just a good source of information out to me for questions. I'm a Christ follower, which basically I love the people as I've been loved. So I try to just bless everybody and just love you guys. I'm almost a wife. In fact, I'm getting married on Sunday. So yay! So like, why am I here on my wedding week and have family in town? I don't know. But a couple weeks ago, when Toya and I were at lunch, it sounded like a good idea. It is. It's a great idea. I'm happy to be here. And I'm a mother of two great boys, 9 and 19. I like to say I have two only children because they're 10 years apart. And then I'm about to inherit 4 stepchildren, but thankfully only one of them is under 18, so not too much of a Brady Bunch around here. Strength in lending is kind of my jam. It's my little logo, but I love to work out, and I think that the discipline and the hard work ethic you get in the gym applies itself to all aspects of your life, and I apply that in lending with my strength in lending. So that's why I chose that for my logo. And there's my contact info. You can get on my socials. My website, my cell phone, anytime you guys want. So enough about me, let's talk about you. Okay, so some food for thought. So describe your last 12 months in one word. Audience participation, what do you guys have? Awesome, slow, terrible, getting better. I know that's 2 words. Any thoughts? Challenging, accurate. Yeah.
I would say growth.
Growth, that's good. I like it. Good perspective. Okay. What's your current marketing plan for your past clients? Do you have one? Okay. How often do you review your business plan, if you have one? Right. So these are some things that are to think about. What's your value proposition? So you know the whole like I'm stuck in an elevator with someone for 30 seconds. At the end of that 30 seconds, are they like yawning, like get me out of this elevator, or are they engaged and they asking you more, right? Like what do they want to know? So do you have a good elevator speech or value proposition? That's something that you can put together in just a few minutes. And what's the last book you read? This is an actual question. So anyone have a good book they want to share? Could be professional, personal. If you're into growth, do you have any?
So setting boundaries.
Setting boundaries, okay. I would ask what it's about, but it seems kind of obvious. Is it about setting boundaries? Well, this is one of the last books I read. It's a social media book called Rethink Everything by one of my good friends and social media gurus, Kyle Draper. It's a signed copy, so you get to have a copy of it since you answered my question. If you mind handing that down to her.
Write it down so I can order it.
Yeah. Amazon's really fast these days. Yeah. So it's a good, quick read. He's great. You can follow him on social media, and he'll give you a lot of good tips. This class isn't all about social media, but we do have a lot in there about that. But first, as our good buddy Albert I said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting the different results, right? So are you using insanity in your marketing plan, right? That's kind of what we're getting at. So are we in a sales industry or a marketing industry?
Actually, a little bit of both.
Marketing, so we can get
Service?
Marketing so we can get sales. What did you say?
I always call it service.
Service, yeah. But how are you going to service people if you don't get to market to them or sell to
And
them?
market them.
Right?
Yeah.
So I agree, Troy. I think we're in both. But I do think we're much more heavily in a marketing industry than in a sales industry. You can be the best salesperson out there, but if you're not getting clients to sell to, if people don't know about you, how are they going to know about you, right? So how are you going to get them to know about you? There's always word of mouth, referral marketing, and things like that, but that's still a marketing technique that you have to cultivate, right? You have to go ask your past clients and everyone involved in the transaction for reviews and for referrals and all of that, right? So that's something that you actively have to do. Sure, you'll get passive referrals once in a while, but think of how many more you could get, right? So, and I think we can all think of somebody on TikTok or social media who gets so much potential, so many clients, so much business because they are so in your face and they do such a good job marketing on social media. And maybe they're not even spreading the right information, right? Like maybe not all their stuff is accurate, or maybe it's very like incomplete, but they're capturing so much of that business because they're marketing and they're out there. So I do think we're both, but you can be not a very good salesperson in this industry and get lots of clients, but it's a little harder to do it the other way around, which is changing. And that's really changing in the last, decade or so, as like social media has come so big and the internet, the last couple decades even. Whereas in the old days, it was like, you know, to go see a lender, you'd bring in your paperwork in a folder and you'd go see some stuffy old guy in a suit and at the bank, you know what I mean? Like that is not how it is anymore. So, but we do want to talk about why marketing is so important. And as you know, if you haven't noticed, there's a little bit of an issue with our population versus our inventory. Anybody picked up on that lately? Yeah, no, it's me too. So that's kind of the new norm in the marketplace, right? So the US population by age in 2021, here's some interesting stats that the former biggest generations are dwindling. And the new generations are these, home buying age of maybe 24, the low end up to 40. It's the biggest spike that we've had. So we have all this population, all these people wanting to buy homes and no houses to sell them. Because if you look at the homes that have been built by decade up to 2019, 2020, we're way behind, right? And at the NARA meeting this morning, they were talking about hey, the builders want to build, but they have so many supply issues and issues getting good employees and contractors to build that they're kind of stuck too. So, when does this solve itself? It's, I think, a long haul, and I think this is going to be the new market for a while. It may take a decade for the building to catch up. And there's other factors involved there, of course, but this is where we're living right now, right? So, we have up here the people wanting to buy houses, and then here's the units available for houses. So, pretty big difference there. All right. So, has anyone heard the story of the rooster and the hen? I'm going to read it to you. Don't fall asleep. You can tell I have kids. I have it, so I have to read you a poem. Okay. Said the little red rooster, believe me, things are tough. It seems the worms are getting scarcer and scarcer, and I can never find enough. What's become of all those fat ones? It's a mystery to me. Though there were thousands in that rainy spell, but now where can they be? But the old black hen, who heard him, did not grumble or complain. She had lived through lots of dry spells. She had lived through floods of rain. She picked a new and undug spot. The ground was hard and firm. I must go to the worms, she said. The worms won't come to me. The rooster vainly spent his days through habit, by the way, where fat round worms had passed in squads back in the rainy days. When night called out and supperless, he growled in accents rough, I'm hungry as a fowl can be, and conditions sure are tough. But the old black hen hopped to her perch, dropped her eyes to sleep, and murmured in a drowsy tone, young man, hear this and me. I'm full of worms and happy, for I've eaten like a pig. The worms are always there, but boy, I sure had to dig. So that's what today's about. Let's get to digging, right? One of the other recent books I've read is called Acres of Diamonds. Have you guys heard of that one? Real thin, quick read. And it basically talks about how like there are diamonds in your backyard. You don't have to go across the world or somewhere else to find them. So if you're looking for a quick inspiration, Acres of Diamonds is a good one as well. Yeah, that's the premise, but it's a very good read. All right, so staying visible is not all about social media, right? There's events, all sorts of different kinds of events. There's classes like this one, masterminds that you can hold, and all these you can do in person, hybrid, completely virtual, emails, text, video text, and remember the sales funnel, right? So here's an example of sales funnel. By the way, the first thing I want to point out is what's the majority of the sales funnel based on? Marketing, and then some sales, right? So, you start with this big outreach marketing, big reach marketing. These are all examples of ways to get people into your funnel, all the way from, being a podcast guest or doing your own podcast, all the way down, where you're adding them to your list, you're inviting them to groups, maybe a Facebook group that you have, you're inviting them to classes, all the way down to where you're creating the opportunity for a one-on-one, and then to turn them and convert them into a lead. And that's where that sales part comes in. So these are always fascinating to me when I learned about this. So one-to-one appointments, right? That's your buyer consult, your listing appointment, your copy date. One-to-many is like what I'm doing right now, right? There's one of me, there's many of you. Many-to-many is also what we're doing right now. I'm being recorded. So I'm going to be able to take this content and repurpose it for email, text, or text or videos through email, video, text, social media. When I go to book another class, I can say, here's an example of it. There are so many different ways that you can repurpose your content. So that's kind of that many-to-many. And there's a lot of ways that you can save yourself time with this, right? So for those of you who are active full-time realtors, which you'll hear, what are the questions that you get every week that are the same questions? And you spend 15 minutes on the phone with someone minimum answering the same questions. You probably can all think of a couple, right? I can think of a time as a lender. So you make a video and you put it on your YouTube channel, on your TikTok, wherever, even just keep it in your phone. And then when someone asks you that question, you say, here, watch this video, and then watch it twice, and then call me if you have any questions, or if you have, a calendar link or something, set up a time on my calendar, we can talk more about it. Most of the time, you won't get follow-up questions, but you're establishing credibility. Like, this person already has a video that they're just sharing with me, right? They know what they're talking about, and it saves you a lot of time, and maybe they reshare that as well. So that's just one example of that. I have a TikTok I did on VA loan assumptions that I swear I get a question about that at least once a week. And I have sent that video out time and time again, and do the exact same thing. Call me if you have any questions. And I even had an agent the other day say, hey, do you mind if I remake your video and post it on my channel to just help spread this information? Absolutely, go right ahead. So this can be a really, really good way of reaching more people by only doing something once. Okay, so the importance or non-importance of social media, it kind of depends on your audience, right? So what is your target audience? Now, it's easy to say everyone. Like, I can lend to anyone who wants to buy a house. You can help anyone who wants to buy a house, and that's fine. But having more of a target audience in mind can be very, very helpful, not just for how you do business, but for how you market and brand yourself. So I'm a VA lender. I do all loans, but my niche is VA, and I'm very well branded for that. I went to a networking meeting for the CREAM, the investor group, and it's an investor group. There's not a ton of veteran involvement in that. And Dave, the head of it, walked up to me and said, "You're the VA lender." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm doing something right. I've never met you before." So, things like that can happen. But beyond that, you got to keep your audience in mind. So are you targeting baby boomers? And how do they like to communicate? Right? That's the old school, like they're going to come in with their New Balance and their sweater and their manila folder, and they have an 800 credit score. You guys seen that meme? They want to be face to face. They're very loyal. And then we have the Gen X, and then we have our millennials. Like, this moves from email, right, to just text me. And then we have on this next slide, it includes the Gen Z. And what are they all doing? and they're always on video. That's how they talk to each other, is they send Snapchats. You guys have teenagers or something, you probably know this, right? So everything is on video, and that's why these people who are very heavily on social media, Reels, TikTok, whatever it is, they're capturing so much of the audience. So you guys, who are the real professionals, can be out there spreading the correct information and capturing that as well. So I have an agent that I work with in California, and she deals mostly with elderly clients. So she helps with like elder home placement, estate, all the estate stuff, and she targets the elderly. Like that's her niche, and that's her market is the elderly. Do you think she's on TikTok? She's literally, I talked to her about this. I said, can I talk about you in my class? She advertises in print in the newspaper. Like that's her niche, right? Like, so it's just a kind of an extreme example, but it's a really good example of, you have to take some time and think about that. And like attracts like that's where you're going to start, right? Is like attracts like. So, you know, I work with all sorts of clients, but you just naturally are going to work with people who are like you and who communicate like you. You know, I have a really hard time with like very introverted people, because obviously I'm not. But you know, if I'm sitting at a table with someone and they have very little facial expression and very little, you know, mannerisms and body language, I'm like, do they like me? You know, people pleaser, right? So I really have to do some of that mirror and matching, where I slow myself down, I match how fast they're talking, how much eye contact they're making. Are they leaned back like this, or are they engaged like this? You want to come to people on their level. So that's just some stuff for you guys to think about, and on the phone as well as in person. You know, I talk fast, if you haven't noticed. I always have to remind myself to slow down, and especially when I'm talking to someone who is speaking slower than me, it really helps them to be able to relate to me. So there's your psychology lesson inside of your marketing workshop. All right, so we do want to talk about social media. Please, 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 please have obvious contact information on your social media profiles and your license number, please. I get all the time, in your email signatures, no license number. I get a contract, and a lot of times the listing agent information isn't always completely filled out in there, and I will spend 10 minutes scouring the internet to try to find their email. I can usually find a phone number. Sometimes I can't even find their license number. So, you know, license number is obviously like compliance-wise, but you have to think about, if someone is trying to find a realtor and they go to any of your socials or your website, can they find a way to immediately contact you? Or in this instant gratification world, are they just going to go to the next person they can find? The next person. Yeah, and so I know on Instagram there's a little button you can create, and it might just be, if you're in professional mode, I'm not sure, but it's contact, but you can always put it in the bio. So I now have the contact button on mine that you can put away. You can do like the little link tree where people click on the link and it has all your stuff. So just make yourself accessible, and, you know, empty your voicemail. I get that with realtors sometimes. I call and I'm like, well, your voicemail is full. Either you're really busy or you don't want the business, right? I'm picking on you guys a little bit. Business versus personal pages, that's kind of a preference thing, unless your company has any specific regulations. I have a Facebook business page. Do I ever use it? You'll never catch me posting on that thing, because the algorithms are so bad that no one will ever see it unless you pay for it and boost your ads, right? And with housing, that's kind of hard. I've tried a couple of times, and they put you in the housing category, and you're very limited on what you can do. But you know, people have business pages that they work off of really well. I just have one page for each platform, and I post business and personal. Mostly business, but my posts and reels are often very business related, and then my stories have a lot more personal stuff in them. So it's kind of like, here's my page if someone goes on it, and then if you want to get to know me, watch my stories, right? And I do post personal stuff in my actual page as well. So what's your comfort level on that? That's what you really need to go with. I know very successful people who post nothing but business on there, and vice versa. I would just shy away from having your Instagram or your social media handle be like catlover325. Because like, what do you do? How do they know you're a realtor? What you do, right? I see a lot of that. So if you're going to be posting about business, just make your message really clear. And yeah, have your contact info on there, and only just post stuff that you're comfortable with. Some people don't want to post stuff about their kids, or, you know, I don't post where my kids goes to school, for instance, but I post about my kids, because people do like to see that you're real and you're authentic and that you're vulnerable, like you're a real person who lives in the real community where they're trying to buy a house. And you can help them. So stories, posts, and reels. Do you guys want me to go over that really quickly, the difference on them? Okay.
Yeah.
So stories are only for 24 hours, and then they disappear forever. Posts and reels are both permanent on your page. Posts are just pictures, and then reels are videos. So I know Instagram is pushing reels really heavily. They're also pushing carousel posts, where you have a picture and you see the little dots at the bottom and you swipe through the picture. Sometimes they tell a story or there's multiple images. That stuff's always changing, so don't put too much stock in it. You know, if you're posting something, that's better than posting nothing. So use all three of them and make sure you put your face in them, right? Not like, you know, every day I'm posting a selfie because who wants to see that? But, you know, just your face is still your brand. And I go to places and people come up to me and talk to me and I'm like, I don't know who you are. Like, please introduce yourself. And by the way, if you do go up to someone and you've met them before, don't assume that they'll remember your name. One of my college professors taught me to go up and not say, do you remember me? But say, you might not remember me, but my name is Leonard or Lauren, and I met you at blah, blah, blah. And it lets them save face and, oh yeah, of course I remember that, right? So that's just a little tip. But yeah, be posting on your stories, on your posts, and on your reels continually, because different algorithms will push them and people will see them at different times.
Why would someone want to put something on stories if it's only going to be for 24 hours?
Good question. Or maybe it's Friday night and you don't want to see it on Saturday night. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm teasing. So stories are, you'll see the person's bubble at the top of the page. Does that ring a bell? And it'll have a little circle around it if there's a story. So even if they don't click on it, your photo comes up. And so that's a little bit extra recognition. But there's a lot of things that I post in my stories that, you know, I don't want on my permanent page, not because they're bad or for anything like that, but you know, maybe it's just out what I'm doing today, or, you know, something that's just a little bit of a smaller window, I suppose. And they're also a good opportunity to share your posts. So some people are going to see your stories, they're never going to see your posts or reels, and vice versa. So like I posted a reel today and I share it to my story and I get more engagement on both sides. So they're good. And yeah, there's some people like I watch their stories all the time because they're interesting to me. Like I have this one gal that I follow, not to go down the weeds here, but she has like a huge homestead in Tennessee and like 5 kids, and she makes her own milk and she has a milk share program and she butchers all her own meat, and like it's just fascinating to me. And I watch her, she's posting stuff all the time. And I watch her all the time. You know, am I going to ever do that? No, I can my own jam. That's about it. So it can really be a good way to get engagement from your followers. And then when you're posting stories, you can put engagement stickers, polls, quizzes, all sorts of stuff on there, music, different things, so that the more, you know, it encourages people to click on it and get engagement. Hashtags and good captions. So use hashtags. You can use up to 30 on an Instagram post. I don't know if Facebook has limits. I don't think TikTok has limits on it. Good captions are part of the algorithms. They're helpful because if someone has their sound off because they're in a meeting or who knows what they're doing, and they can still see what you're talking about. Now there's captions on the screen like closed captioning, and then there's the captions that you put below in the text. Use both of them. So the reel I posted today took me forever to edit because it was like a minute long. And so I put a good caption in there explaining what I was talking about, and I also put text on the screen going through it. So I hate that. I see that people all the time like, I really want to listen to this, but I have to have my sound off and I don't know what you're saying, so swipe to the next one. So just use them. And remember that we're not selling people. No one likes to be sold. We're telling good stories, right? So instead of doing the just listed, just sold post, like tell a story about why this was so cool or such a good transaction. Like that's what people are going to remember, right? Is those stories and the meaningful parts of it. You can still post your just listed or just sold, but don't have to be, that's all you post. Because then it's like, wow, like, who is this person? I don't know them. I don't know their personality or how authentic they are. They probably are paying someone $200 a month to run their page for them because that's all they're posting, right? It's just not something that people are going to be able to connect to.
What would be a good example of that?
Of the
Yeah, like I just sold this house. What would be a good example of?
I've seen videos where
what would they say?
Oh, okay. So well, they don't have a good closing story, something heartwarming. Give me just one. Okay.
They're all heartwarming.
They're all, yeah. Except for the ones who were like, I don't ever want to talk to that person again. Just kidding. So last year I helped a homeless veteran purchase a home. It was a very difficult VA loan, just with the type of underwriting that we had to do on it. And There was also some credit issues that came up throughout the way that were unanticipated and a surprise to us on the lending side. And so that was a very difficult one. But with this type of underwriting, we had to get a 24-month housing history. And he was in between the homeless shelter and he was in between his car. But we were able to close it.
Yeah.
And he still reaches out to me to this day, and we're friends on Facebook, and he, and it's just one of those things, like, that's a client for life, right? And posting a just sold, okay, like, here's the sales price, it's sold in this many days or whatever, versus like, no, I helped someone get off of the streets, and his wife has been in the care home because he doesn't have a roof to take care of her. And then he was able to bring her home. Like, so obviously that's not your everyday transaction, but how much more powerful is telling that story than it's just, I just sold this, and this is how many days it was on the market, and this is how much over list price it sold for, and so.
And how long should that be, Lauren? Like, how long should your story be?
Well,
The video,
if
30
it's,
seconds?
yeah, I mean, it kind of depends on, it's kind of a preference thing. So like, if I'm scrolling through Reels at night, and like, if it's, you got 3 seconds to catch my attention, and if it's much longer than 10 or 20 or 30 seconds, I'm not into it, right? Some people love long form videos, where, like, I posted one that was a minute today, very informational, and then I post a lot of the very short, like 7 to 10 second reels that are like I'm dancing and pointing at words on the screen or whatever, right? So it kind of just use both of them. So when you're telling a story like that, that's like maybe up to a minute, but I play around with it too. So are we taking photos? I'm just kidding.
It sounds like I'm not here.
I know.
You're talking about social media.
That's right. All right, so some best practices. Just kidding. Do you need equipment? Okay, what do you guys think? Does anyone have any social media filming equipment from here?
Your phone.
Yeah, that's right. Your phone and a car, right? I'm seeing a ton of reels of people just sitting in their car talking, or they're walking down the street talking. I have a ring light, and I have a phone. I also have a fancy $200 microphone that I use once and never use again. I should probably sell it. So yeah, you can totally, the little podcast studio right around the corner, you can have a full studio set up and a really nice place to film. That's great, but don't let that stop you, because you really can just have a ring light, or not even that. You can really just use your phone. There's plenty of filters. Don't worry, I use them all the time. So yeah, my biggest tip on shooting any kind of videos is to please look at the camera. Don't look at yourself in the video. Because if you look at yourself in the video while you're filming, when I see it, you're looking down, and I can't quite make eye contact with you. And it's very impersonal and unengaging. And I notice it every single time, probably now because I look for it. But make sure you look at the little lens of the camera. And then have a good hook, right? So, hi, I'm lender Guru Lauren, and here's the 2 things today that you need to know about a VA loan. Okay, you're probably already swiped, right? And also, you don't need to introduce yourself on your videos, at least not at the beginning, because they know who you are. Your name is right there. You're on their profile, or you're seeing them, right? So how about, like, don't let your next mistake be these 2 things when you're buying a house with your VA loan. Okay, that one wasn't perfect, but you really want to get people engaged, right? And like use that hook to get them in. Yeah. So even if you have to practice that a few times, that's probably the most important part of your video, because otherwise you have 3 seconds to catch people's attention. So don't make the mistake of my last VA buyer. Right? Well, now you're listening, like, what mistake did they make? Instead of like, here's some tips on this, right?
What are some ways, because I know we have some shy people in this room, and what are some ways that they can, like, because I know it took practice, because I look at stuff I did and like back in 2015, I was like, oh.
Terrible.
Poop.
Yeah.
Poop, it was bad. It was, yeah, it was just, I don't know, it just wasn't good, like the quality and everything, but what can people do besides practice and practice? Is it practice in the mirror? I mean, that's what I always did. I would just talk it out and try to loosen up and
that's a good
maybe
idea.
have a few drinks.
I was just gonna say, there's a good tip,
Yeah.
like that little puffy white inflatable basket out there. No. And then you can have a half a glass of bubbly or something if you do that to loosen up. Practicing. Also remember that you'll lose 30% of your personality on camera, right? So it's almost like if you ever I did like acting for a year in high school, right? Nothing exciting. But I remember them telling that, like, you have to have a bigger stage presence, because like to me this feels like I'm going crazy right now. To you guys, it's probably like she's moving her arms, right? So make sure that you're more animated than you normally would be. And then when you watch it, you're like, oh yeah, that's interesting. Like she's engaging, and like that makes you want to watch it instead of just someone who's like, you can tell. So part of that does come from practice for sure. Hype yourself up. like do a couple burpees and then get up and you're like ready to go, right? And that's what I would say, of course, but shake it out, kind of move around a little bit, get your blood flowing a little bit, and then just have it in your head and kind of go for it. The other thing, if you are doing a little bit more of a long form, like anything where you're talking, or it's more than 10 seconds long, you don't have to film it all in one shot, right? If you look carefully, when you're watching reels, you'll see a little blur for a transition, or now they're facing this way and then they're facing this way. Like people transition and cut all the time, and it's completely natural. So it actually catches your eye more. I think they say in the movies, like if you watch a movie, like a Hollywood movie, that the frame changes like every 3 to 5 seconds or something, like very quickly. Even if it's the same person talking, they'll switch angles, they'll switch whatever, because it's like keeping your attention. So, what I will coach people to do when they're filming is you start off you have your good hook. Beware of these 2 mistakes you could make on your VLON. And it's like, oh wait, okay. And, so you make sure if you're gonna edit it later. So you pause, smile, and then, or you smile and then pause and then start. Because if you have to go edit it and you go, okay, it's like now you have to sort the face out and the turning and the words, and you'll see what I mean if you ever start editing that. So just remember, like and then you can just splice it and then put a tiny little transition in it. So don't feel like pressure to say all 30 seconds or minute of this whole thing at once right now. Just take a pause, and then you can always splice it together later. Okay, content batching and calendar. If you're like, wow, I really don't have the time to do this every day, or like for me, it's like I'm like in a homeless day, not like a hair and makeup day, because I have 2 settings. Those are them. I don't want to film or something. You batch it, right? So you do all of your filming on a Saturday or on some day of the week, and then if you have the time, you could do your editing and write your captions, and then boom, now you have your content to post or schedule out for the next couple weeks, right? Sometimes I do that, sometimes I just do the filming, and then I'm like, I need to post something today, and I go through my drafts, and I'm like, oh, I'll use that one, and then I'll put the text on the screen, but then it really saves time to do that. So that's a big tip. Later.com, I haven't used it, but I've heard it's a good resource for scheduling out your posts. Also, like Instagram business, and there's a lot of services that will do that. What's up?
Metricool.
Metricool.
Yeah, that's free too.
Okay, free's always good. And consistency in branding. Whatever you do, just be consistent with it. I knew I was going to have this class today, and I was like, since I've been a little crazy with family and wedding planning, I haven't posted a lot this week. I was like, okay, I better post something so I can talk about consistency, right? So I did. You can all go like it after the like and share. But yeah, be consistent with it. I noticed a direct impact on how many people I'm talking to in terms of clients, referrals, activity, engagement when I'm posting versus when I'm not. It's like my phone will ring, my phone will not ring. It's amazing, right? So, and of course, there's a lot of reasons for that too, other reasons than just posting, but that makes a big difference when I'm being consistent. And then your branding, we can have a whole separate class on branding if you guys ever want to, but just what sets you apart. Is it a color? Is it a lender girl? Is it a tagline? Is it your name? What are you being consistent with, and how are people going to differentiate you from her? You guys both work at the same company, right? So have something that is a little bit unique that you can market. All right, so some best practices. Google business page. Does anyone here have a Google business page? You do? Raise your hand.
It's a long story.
Oh, it's a long story. It's a good story?
No, I can't get verified.
Oh, yeah, that's
It's like, they make me do all this stuff and it won't work.
Oh, I can't do that. But if you ever get up and running, they're good to get reviews on. Yeah, that is frustrating. People will bet you online. I had an offer accepted maybe a month ago. I talked to the listing agent. I'd never heard of her. She'd never heard of me. And she said, hey, I've never heard of you. Can you tell me about you and your company? And so I did. And then she waited until I did. And then she said, oh, I looked you up online already. And I was like, oh, I was like, good thing I'm consistent, right? So we got the offer accepted.
Facebook stock.
Yeah, you should, right? Like, you want to see who you're working with. Yeah.
Do it. Just whip out your phone. In
Yeah.
a few seconds, you got it.
Absolutely. And that might not have been the only reason we got the offer accepted, but it surely didn't hurt. Have a CRM. I know your company probably provides one for you. I'm a big believer in having my own. Just nice to have something that you can tailor to your needs. But whatever CRM you have, use it. Therefore, you probably pay for it on some level or another, and if you don't, at least you have a free one, right? So use it. Outsourcing video editing, that can take a lot of time. It took me like an hour today to post my reel. They don't always take that long, but this one took quite a bit of time. So sometimes I think about that, and sometimes I'm like, I feel like it would take me just as much time to like tell someone how I wanted it as it would be for me to do it. No right or wrong answer to that. If you're gonna do that, Fiverr, you guys know Fiverr? Fiverr. I think there's like thousands of people that work on there, so you have to just find someone that you like. My biggest tip would be to get someone who's from America or who's fluent in English, because you want your captions to be correct. I've seen that before, where like the captions aren't correct because it's a second language. Anyone hear about leads? Before.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so glad you answered the question, because this is another bonus question.
Oh,
So we get a
Toya.
signed copy.
You got a butt kisser.
Thank you.
Toya's an overachiever.
So tell me, what do you think about that? Think it's a good idea or not a good idea?
It depends. I think in the slow periods, like in the winter, it's good to kind of keep the momentum going. If you see a dip in your business during that period, just keep you motivated. But as far as like buying leads versus getting referrals, of course, it's
Referrals better.
yeah, it's worlds apart.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and they're as good as you follow up on them, right? Most of them don't answer on the first ring, right? Or
You need a lot of water.
The
for sure.
yeah, a lot of watering. I like that. They need a lot of watering.
I like the plants.
Yeah, don't let them die. So I know agents that have built their business on buying leads. Some agents are really good at it, and then some agents were like, I've wasted so much money, I hate them when I want to buy them.
Yeah,
So
it can be very expensive.
yeah, they can be very, very expensive. So just find out, who you are and how you work. We're going over a lot of ideas here today, and probably not all of them fit your MO, personality, desires, whatever, right? So, and then video text. Do you guys ever get video text? Anybody ever got one?
Hmm.
So,
We did one on Thursday.
did you send one?
Oh, no, he did.
It was a mutual effort.
Okay.
I was in the video text.
You were in it. Okay.
Yeah. You mean just record yourself and send an attachment to somebody?
Yep.
Yeah.
And so you could do it.
Non-FaceTime.
Non-FaceTime.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've heard a lot of mixed stuff on this, and this is kind of a new up and coming thing where a lot of coaches are like, send video texts because no one else is doing them. Yeah, that's correct, but like some people hate them. I've heard that like getting them makes you feel obligated to respond in a video, or makes you feel obligated to respond, period. And I've heard, so I've heard different things about it. For me, sometimes I'm like, I can read a text while I'm doing anything else, and I can read it much more quickly than I can watch through your video. And sometimes they come across really fake. So it just depends on how you do them. And if you like getting video text, you should send out video text, because you're going to attract like to like, right? If you hate them, you probably shouldn't send them out.
And you're talking about sending a video text to your leads through your CRM.
Really to anyone. You can do a blast of them through your CRM, or you can just send a personalized happy birthday Toya text, or just a personalized anything text. I send a lot of voice messages for those of you cool people who have iPhones, so I can send voice messages, but I don't send a video text really, because I don't love them. I don't take, have them to take the time to watch them when I can read a text. But again, there's not a right or wrong to it. It's a great tool, and not a lot of people are doing it. So that might be something that you
Do you
can.
think it would be good to send it to a lead so that they can put like a
Yeah.
name with a face
Mhm.
and like know that you're real and
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea at all, because it's hard to get them on the phone sometimes. And you call and leave a message, and then you send an email or you send a text or whatever. And of course, you would put text with your video so that they know it's like not some picture that you don't want to see or whatever, right? But yeah, I think that would be a good idea. All right, so some important apps I want to talk about today. Who uses Canva? Yeah, right,
Love
game
it.
changer, love it. So they have a full suite of real estate tools that I didn't even realize that they had when I started looking into them. So of course, I use them for pretty much all of my social media posts or carousel posts. So they have all that stuff. They have their Bolt Create for carousel. They have a AI integration, which I've been trying to play around with. I just think I like upgrade I have the paid version, but I can't find the AI on there.
I don't like it. The
Yeah.
AI is-
There's
It's more to.
Okay. But they do have it. I'm sure it'll get better. Their background remover though is like,
Oh,
The best.
Yeah.
right? We're paying, like, I would pay $12.99 a week for that instead of a month. So yeah, sometimes I'll upload a photo in there just to remove the background and just to use it for something else. So I love that. They help with the content calendar as well. And they do have YouTube integrations now and video editing now. So they have a lot more than you probably ever would use them for, but lots of really good tools there.
can I ask you a question? I love this stuff, so.
Okay.
And, I mean, I'm gonna have to rewind a little bit. So say we have a lot of agents that are cool, awesome people. That's why they work here, right? But
Absolutely.
they're really scared about getting on video.
Okay.
Now, I'm a big Gary Vee follower,
Uh-huh.
and Gary's like, listen, if you don't like video, that's okay. Not everyone likes me on video, but double down on like text posts, or I always said like you can video, but you don't have to be on the video. Like, like I'll shoot video here tonight, but I'm not in it, like.
Yeah.
And or like content, like a lot of agents are like, well, what are my posts? My life's boring, right? And all of our lives are boring, but like people think my life's cool, but I think it's boring.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So what would you, from a content standpoint, if they're afraid to get on video, what would be some good tips
Yeah.
maybe for them? And we can save it till the end.
No, that's fine. So, I mean, there's a lot of different schools of thought on that. I am a firm believer that your face is your brand. When I taught one of these classes, I had an agent that I had followed her on social media and engaged with her quite a bit. And I realized I was like, I don't know what she looks like.
Oh,
And it was kind of like a weird feeling. Like it was a little awkward. It was very like, because again, she knew who I was because of A, she's at my class, but B, she sees me on social media all the time.
Right.
So I would say to make a big case on just getting out of your comfort zone and getting on video. But you also don't want your face in every single video because it's just annoying, I think, so yeah, you want B-roll, like how we were walking around taking a photo. Here's what I'm doing today. Here's this, here's that. Here's my favorite restaurant. Here's this. You can post reels with pictures, and I've seen that happening. So, let's say I take a live photo, or I take, just even a picture of this book, and then you can upload it to a reel as a video, and then you put text on it or you put music on it, and it's just a picture, right? So I've seen that a lot. And then there's text messages. We've seen like the whole text messages where someone like goes to react to it, so it blurs out the other text messages. Do you know what I'm saying? And then it just highlights the one, and then they post that. So, and then there's testimonials and reviews. There's always like the you're showcasing an area that people want to live in, and they may not be from here, right? So why do people want to live in Easton? Why do people want to live in Westerville or wherever you're from, right? Talk about it. Talk about here's the restaurant of the week, or here's the business of the week, or you can even go so far, we'll talk about this a little bit, is to have relationships with these business owners and do marketing things together. So there's a lot you can showcase about the area, about what you do as a realtor, about questions you get asked. I mean, just start every phone conversation you have this week, jot down the topic of it or something that you guys went over. And at the end of the week, you'll be like, wow, that gave me content for the next however long, right? So that's a good way of, if you're not sure what to post, like just be like, hey, what questions have I been asked this week? Go look through your emails or jot them down as you go.
So for like a challenge activity for tonight, because I think this is cool.
Yeah.
We got people together, we're talking about this.
Yeah.
What should people do tonight to take advantage of this opportunity to post? Like, what would you say they need to do?
So like what I'll do is I'll take a selfie with all of you guys at the end, and then I'm gonna ask you to send me all your photos, and I can put a reel together with all that. I'll put things in my stories. A lot of times when if I'm coming into a realtor's office, I'll take a video and kind of start somewhere cool, and then here's the sign of where I am, and I'll tag them, and then they reshare that and all that, right? So for you guys, you can take a picture of me up here, you can take a picture of a slide, you can take use the selfie, take a picture of the swag. You want to let people know that you're out and you're learning to help your business and to help them, right? Like that's what you're doing, and you want to let people know that you're a full-time realtor, even at 7 p.m. at night, right? So that's kind of the take I would do on that.
Yeah. Okay.
So here's an example of a carousel post I did in Canva a while ago on feelings. So again, it's all in just one picture, and you swipe through it to the next one.
That's pretty cool.
All right, so ChatGPT and AI, right? So love it or hate it, here to stay.
Still figuring it out.
Yeah, it can be a little freaky at first. I think the freaky part might not be over yet, but at the moment, it can be very helpful, right? So you want to use it to help your increase efficiency, sales, social media listings, all of that stuff gives you a better competitive advantage.
Yeah.
Does anyone know what the 90% rule of AI is?
No.
You want it ideally to do 90% of the work for you. But don't
I like
ever let it go anywhere without it touching your eyeballs first, right? So you don't, grammatical mistakes, maybe completely interpreted. I asked it the other day, something about networking. I was like, what are some good networking strategies? And I got a whole page essay on computer networking. And I was like, that's not what I meant. I was like, how do I rephrase this to, so, and also sometimes it comes across so barfy and wordy and bleh, I was like, so then, you can kind of tweak the ways that you ask it to do things. But you also want to put your graphics in there, you want to put your hook in there, you want to tailor it to you and to the way you talk and the way you do business. But if we could get something to do 90% of a lot of this work for us, how much time would that save us, right?
What are you having it do? Oh, you're gonna go into.
Look at that, great segue.
Sorry, I'm getting all excited.
No, you're good. So for social media, here's some examples, right? And you can literally type in here, please give me a list of 10 videos that every realtor should make to get clients. Boom, there's your content for the next week. Now, do you have to use all 10 of them? No, but you sure can, right? And there's some ideas, and if nothing else, it's gonna get the juices flowing, right? Please write a 5-minute YouTube video script for a realtor explaining 5 reasons why someone should move to Westerville. That's your outline. Make it yours. Put your graphics in, put your hook in, right? Or a 1-minute or a 30-second, you can tailor all of this. An Instagram video script for an agent explaining the 3 reasons why they should move to Westerville. Or the 3 reasons why they should not move to Westerville, because the weather is so much better here. You make it's funny, right? There's still 3 reasons why you should move there. Please write a short or long caption for a post about the market update, right? So, these are endless opportunities that you can use to save you some time. These are things you're going to have to sit there and come up with on your own anyways. Might as well use something to help you out. You can use it for property listings. So I did this one. I used this exact verbiage, and then I started playing around with it and actually got really fun with it. So then I added casual, write me, with casual words in it. And then I changed it to professional, and then I changed it to funny, and it put all sorts of puns in it. I was like, this is amazing. Good thing I'm not an agent, because I might actually put that on a listing description. And then I was like, it was inappropriate humor, and it was like, we cannot do that. But so you really can play around with that, and get some really good content. Some of the stuff I came up with, I was pretty impressed by. Or you can ask it to rewrite. So, okay, I write my normal listing description. You can upload it to the AI and say, please rewrite this in a more concise version or a funnier version or whatever. And you don't have to take it verbatim, but maybe you combine the two. Right? Mindful. And you can use it to write Facebook ads too. I don't know if there's any homes under $700,000 in Albany, but that was a good idea. Okay, and then so increase sales and efficiency. Your database emails. So the market update email that you send out every month with the market stats that, probably as boring as lender updates that you get on interest rates. But you can use it to write that, and then you're going to have to put the actual stats in it, because I don't think it does a real-time stats. But you get the bulk of the email, and then you can add a YouTube video, something about the area or something that you've already created, and you're many-to-many repurposing your content. Attach that, or put your PDF in the email. And the rewriting, cover bands are still bands, right? So maybe there's a realtor here somewhere or anywhere in America that puts out really, really good content. Maybe it's a blog or articles. Throw it in there and ask AI to rewrite it. Or maybe something that you wrote a long time ago and you want to refresh it and have it rewritten, right? So lots of things you can do, change the tone and the style. Sales funnel scripts, prospecting scripts. I'm sure you guys have some of those already, but sometimes it's a way to spruce it up. So there's ideas for days right there. Yeah. Oh, and Mark Sherrard, I think he's in Michigan. Sorry to say the M word. I'm not sure, but he has a lot of content on this on YouTube and different platforms about how to use AI. So if you guys want to look him up, I don't get paid for that advertisement. I don't even know the dude, but I do have some scripts. If you guys want, just reach out to me afterwards, and I can get those to you. BombBomb or Loom. Do you guys use either of those?
What is it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's the other one?
Loom, Loom. They're both basically the same. They're screen recorders, but they they allow you to record, send, and track videos, so you know when someone's opened your video and watched it and all of that. So that's pretty cool. But okay, so your the emails you guys send out, like this is how much equity your home has in it right now. What if you sent that email out, but there was your pretty little face in the corner explaining the email, or doing like a little introduction, right? So BombBomb and Loom can do that.
So you
So
embed the video.
You embed the video into it, and it usually goes in as a link, I think, so that it doesn't take up a lot of space or get flagged as spam for attachment. But how much more entertaining did that email just get? And by the way, now you're branding yourself, because it's not your high school photo on your signature anymore. It's your thank you. I'm here till Friday. It's your right there, your actual face, and you're doing some branding with it. So how many of your competitors are doing things like that? You know, like for me as a lender, when I send out, you know, I do most of my consults over Zoom and things, and I can screen share and send show all the interest rates and closing costs and all that. Maybe someone's not available, I can record all that and send it to them, and maybe they can show it their spouse later when she gets home from work or whatever, right? So that can be very, very helpful and personable. And I have to have a section in here in Mark Veterans, because helping veteran my jam. To have to be a veteran, no, I'm not a veteran. My dad is, my fiance is, my brother is, my uncle is, like a bunch of random cousins that are. You know, it's kind of my way of giving back. So no, you don't have to be a veteran. It's not marketing or sales relationship. I think veterans, are a segment of the population that have a little bit higher like BS sniffer outer than most people do. You know, like they'll tell really quick if you're just there to sell them or make a quick buck off of them, right? So, you know, you have one event or you host one fundraiser, and you're not going to necessarily get a ton of business out of it. It's something that you have to really be engaged with and repeat, you know, and be there for them and be a resource for them. So, you know, you're going to be consistent and get involved and stay involved, which is really easy to talk about all day long. Like, what does that actually look like? So veteran-owned businesses can be a great resource. I mean, you guys have certain business types that you need or want to connect with anyways. And I'm not just saying like lenders and title, but all the different like home inspectors and painters and like craftsmen that your clients are gonna be like, hey, something broke, like who do I call? I moved here 3 years ago and I didn't know a soul except for my realtor. And so who would I call for everything? You know, I need someone to put my drapes up, you know? So having all of those people in your portfolio, financial planners, CPAs, like homeowners insurance agents, like these are, you have like so much opportunity with business owners that you already need to connect with outside of the veteran world. But what if you found veteran-owned businesses in the area and you put a guide together? Now, what does the guide have on it? Your contact info, your picture, all of your everything. It's branded, and they're going to keep it in a drawer. And you don't just give those to your veteran clients; you give those to all your clients. And you are able to engage and talk. You're not going to just do it to this veteran-owned business down there. You're going to go talk to them and be like, "This is what I'm doing. If you guys want to get involved, and hey, you know, like, how can I help your employees? How can I help your family?" Like, that's where you can use that to cultivate referral relationships. I mean, that's just boom right there. That's a ton of, you know, opportunity that you guys can work with, and also a good reason to call your past clients, right? Hey, I have a great guide for you, especially veteran past clients. Good touch point there, adding value. Volunteering, there's tons of places you can volunteer. If you Google VA housing assistance for veterans, they do a lot with getting homeless veterans off the streets and into rentals. There's actually there's a local place I have in my email. I need to put his info up here that helps with that too. Fundraisers, you can join one or you can host your own. I find a little more success when you join someone else's, like the Veteran Services Office, they have veterans fairs. You know, you can put your own together, but the attendance is hard. If someone else who's already in established organizations, getting their whole database there, and then you go to that not only like makes it easier to get people, but then you have access to people that are not in your sphere. And there's a specially adapted housing program. If you have a vet that's 100% disabled and they need the house retrofitted for their disability, the VA is part of the loan process. You just, you know, work with me on that, and the VA has funds that they'll grant the veteran as part of their loan proceeds or their loan to be able to do that. So lots of great places to get involved. Here's just a few of the organizations. This one's not applicable here, I forgot to take that one off. But the Veteran Service Commission or office or service, they have one in each county. These are amazing resources, even if you have veteran clients, just to have their numbers on hand to give them that info. They help with filing disability claims. They help with like a myriad of different things, surviving spouses, like all sorts of stuff. There's the Legions, the VFWs, the call center for homeless veterans, lots of places you guys can get involved. Any questions on that?
Does the repairs that they make for the veterans, is that wrapped up in the loan, or is that a grant that they give them to?
It's a grant that they give,
Okay.
that they give them, and it's like if someone needs the doors widened because they're
Mhm.
handicapped, or the stairs turn into a ramp, or things like that.
Okay.
All right, so anyone having a little bit of analysis paralysis? We kind of talked about a lot of different options.
Yeah.
And it's very common, like I've listened to plenty of coaching calls where I'm like, cool, thank you for those 1,000 things, I'm going to do none of them, because it's like, where do you go? You kind of just get that little freeze, and it's like, how do you? So the cure of that is to take action. So I always say take 1 or 2 or 3 things that we talked about that seem like they're doable, that match your personality and your skills, your desires, and you have to implement. Because you can listen to classes like this, Gary Vee, coaching meetings all day long, but if you don't change what you're doing, then your business is not going to change, right? So on some level, you have to pull the trigger and implement. Even if it's starting by showing on video once a week, showing up on video once a week. Do that for a month, and then move to twice a week, right? Reposting something.
How often do you recommend posting a day?
So ideally every day. I do not post every day. I would love to post. There's sometimes when I'm like, I posted every day this week, I'm a rock star, and then I'm like, I didn't post for a week after that. So it's just all about, making time for it. And that's why that content batching can be so valuable, because you don't have to just do it with filming and videos. You can do it with posts and content and testimonials and all that stuff, right? So having a content calendar and going like, Mondays I post reels, Tuesday I post a carousel post, Wednesdays I post a testimonial, or whatever it is, like that can really help streamline it for you. But the goal is to get a CMA per day, right? Comparative market analysis. Get a new client every day, right? Like if you're using, it's not just social media. Like there's a lot of other ways you can get people into your sales funnel. But the idea is you have them all at different stages of your sales funnel, so they're spitting out one a day, right? All right, so some closing thoughts. How does the younger generation find agents?
Online.
I'm so glad you answered, because I have one book left.
All right,
All right. Yeah, online. So if they find you online, but your brand isn't clear, your message isn't clear, they don't have your contact information, you're just going to move to the next person, right? And how do they vet agents? Same way. So if you Google me, if you Google Lender Girl Lauryn Francisco, I do this to check once in a while. It's like my Google business page comes up, my Instagram page, my YouTube, which I've posted on forever, like 3 videos on it, my TikTok, my company page. I mean, it's all boom, boom, boom right there. And it's the same profile picture for every single platform I'm on. Consistency, right? There's no question that that's me, right? So even if it's your high school one, but seriously, put the same profile picture, the same headshot on everything, because that's how people are going to know that's you. And even if their parents tell them, hey, this is my realtor, you're going to go buy a house, they're going to go straight to the internet and look you up. Or they're going to go straight to their friends and Snapchat chat their friends. It's actually, Kyle Draper talks about this in his book. Very interesting phenomenon. Your best friend or someone you trust and have a lot of credibility with can tell you, go try this restaurant or go use this person for this. But they're going to go to the internet and look at reviews. They're going to look at socials. They're going to look at, like, can I even find you online or websites? And if those things are bad, they're going to take that advice of complete strangers over what their best friend just told them. Like, it's crazy, right? And they're going to do the same thing with you and who they use for a major transaction, right? Some person on TikTok who doesn't really know what they're talking about half the time just got licensed last year. Not that that's bad, but just make sure you're setting yourself apart as the expert. How do we stay current as things are always changing? We stay involved and stay informed, right?
Always learning.
Staying involved, always learning.
Yeah.
Messy action, something I like to talk about. Like, we're all hot messes half the time. I joke about like having hair and makeup days to do filming, and there's some truth to that, but people don't want to see people who are perfect. Like, who has that perfect social media life? Like you were already saying earlier, everyone's life is boring. Like, how do we make it look not boring? Well, everyone's life on social media is fun,
Yeah.
but it's a highlight reel, right? So you want to recognize that, but you also want to be authentic and not have everything be polished, everything be perfect, because it's not relatable, right? Like you want to be authentic and vulnerable and relatable because that's how you're going to connect with people. So I think that's really important. And that's a good tip to people who are just starting out with video. It's like, I have to tell myself, I am literally the only one who cares what I look like, or that I stumbled over that word, or whatever, you know? And it's like, if someone actually does care about those things, like I don't want them in my circle anyways, you know? So just to be authentic.
Can I ask,
Yeah, please.
what about when people get a little too authentic? Like
That's a
they're
problem
a little oversharing, like, because, you know, I always say like buying a home is probably the second or third most important thing in life. Having kids, you know, getting married, and then buying a house.
Yeah.
And if you went on your OBGYN, for all the ladies here, and your
You don't go to one of those?
OBGYN,
Yeah.
all right, if you saw them and they were like, I don't know, just doing some weird shit on there, or saying about things that you'd be like, I'm not going, that guy's or girl's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So what are some things that you listen, just, you gotta be conscientious of that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, and you want to be tactful.
We've had issues with oversharing.
Have you? Yeah, you don't want to air all your dirty laundry on Facebook. You know, just because you're not just making yourself look perfect and doing a highlight reel doesn't mean like that you want to go the opposite way about it too. So, I mean, it's like, is it something I would share with my best friend or my mom, or who you're closest with? Or is it something I would share with like Leonard or Lauren, who I've only met once? Or is it something I would share in a work meeting? If it's not, then like don't post it online. You know, so kind of you have a question that you ask yourself as a little bit of a filter. I felt probably none of you in this room have this issue, but yeah, just use a little bit of tact with it. Now, I mean, I see some people take the like attracts like, and like, this is my tribe, and like that thing way too far. I know people who are dropping F-bombs all over the place and like really raunchy humor, and like that they attract the like, you know, like if that's what they're after, that's what they're after, and they attract people like that. Like to me, and like, I just think it's tacky, you know? So there's a little bit of it that comes down to personal preference, but we're professionals and we want to represent people professionally while being a real human at the same time, right? So you just kind of have to find that happy medium a little bit. And, you know, I would guess that probably the people or person you're thinking about right now is not even coachable enough to hear that.
I think, so maybe it's just self-awareness.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
You know, maybe in that case, if you want to do some coaching with someone, is you show them some examples of some really good videos that other realtors have done who aren't like perfect and polished. And then you show them theirs and ask them their thoughts, and that might be something to start with there. But yeah, you definitely want to use some tact. Don't air the dirty laundry, right? Okay, I actually have a really terrible story that I just had to start sharing. Normally I put this QR code up and I'm like, can everyone please scan this and give me a Google review?
Oh.
I had someone like, in the last like 2 weeks, I had like 10 or 11 like 1-star reviews in a 24-hour period.
Really?
These are people I've never talked to, business or non-business, never, like I have no idea, right? Like, and I didn't bother looking at you. Someone's mad at me. I was like, I promise I didn't do anything. You know? No, I mean, maybe I found out I was getting married again or something. I don't know. But I mean, it could have been a competitor. Who knows? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I haven't.
Did you dispute it?
So I did. I disputed several of them and got some of them removed. But the problem is a lot of them are like just a 1-star review with no words. And so it's like, how can they dispute it with, you know, there was some comment on there about like acne, like saying that like, I don't like people with acne or something. I was like, oh, this is the most random thing ever. Like, so I would love a Google review. Let me specify, I would love a 5-star Google review. But really, I was like, this is ridiculous. Because you can't just like delete your page and start over. And it dropped me from a 5-star to like a 3.9. I was like, come on. I promise I'm a nice person. I haven't made anyone mad that I know of, you know. But anyway, so I have to say that now because you're going to go to my page and be like, wow, who is this girl? She's really took this messy action thing too far. She's got all these 1-star reviews. But this is something that you guys should be cultivating because people do look at your Google page and they will look you up online, and the more reviews you have, and it's a great way to contact your past clients. You can even do the whole like, hey, I'm entering a contest for this and this because like there's a competition in my office, or you can spin it any way you want, right, to get reviews. Just try not to run into whoever I run into apparently. But,
can we talk about Google reviews?
Yeah.
If you don't mind?
For sure.
Because one thing I think new agents are always like, we did this last summer, like a challenge. And some did really good, others didn't. But You know, a lot of new agents are like, I don't have any clients. I just started, you know, but like, you don't necessarily have to have clients that you sold a house to. So who would you
Yeah.
recommend them saying, hey, give me, you know, like review?
Yeah, for like in your agent.
Yeah,
Go hit
yeah.
up all your friends and family, you know, I
Mhm.
mean, like, they don't have to say, I used her for a real estate transaction, like, obviously you don't want them to lie, right? But,
Right.
you know, you can just be like, hey, I've known her for a long time, she's great, or just leave a 5-star without the text on there or whatever, but like, you know, getting a few of those to start with, and then just make it a part of your process, like,
Yeah.
and whenever you're in a transaction, so like for lenders, they teach us like, you know, ask for reviews multiple times throughout the process. Ask for reviews from the listing agent, ask for reviews from the buyer's agent, you know, like, so for you guys, I mean, whoever you're working with in your sphere in a transaction, like you should be asking all them for referrals, not just, or for reviews and referrals, not just for, not just your past clients.
Mhm.
So I've left plenty of reviews for realtors. I've had realtors leave reviews for me, you know, so there's not really like any hard and fast rule that says like, it has to be someone who did a transaction with you.
Yeah.
You know, I've had my family members leave me reviews. I think my fiance left me one. Of course, now I've done a loan for him, so. But yeah, I think it's another tool, right?
Mhm.
Cultivate the tools and use them. But having that online presence, even like I have a YouTube channel that like I said, I posted like a few videos to and haven't posted anything in probably a year. It still comes up high in the search, and it adds the package of like your credibility and your presence. So that's what I've got today. So, but any more
Yeah.
questions? You guys want to do any scenarios or ideas or anything?
Yeah, just gotta, some of the things you said like really hit home. And because for me, even when I started as an agent, I was like, I'm gonna focus on having a business of referrals. And so I don't know why, but the online thing is difficult for me.
Yeah.
And so, but now you're making it like, okay, you need to do this because even if someone refers you, that doesn't mean that they're just gonna take their word and call you.
Right.
They're gonna go look you up.
Especially the younger generation.
Yeah.
When you say
Yeah.
online, you mean like social media stuff?
Yeah, social media, you
Okay.
can Google reviews, because I tried to Google review the challenge that we did last year,
Mhm.
and for some reason my account got flagged. And yeah, so I really need to go back and figure out what's going on there. But I still haven't, you know, put any effort into like my realtor.com page or Zillow or anything like that. So
Yeah.
make sure it's consistent.
Send me your stuff. I will give you guys reviews. Help you get you
Yeah,
started.
because you can have half dozen like that.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is important, I think, and it's just even on some levels. Like, you know, you may decide your niches. So the agent that I mentioned that works with seniors, she still has a website. You know, it's probably like a company website, but you know, she still has a website. She has her listings on there and everything. Because like, you know, she's getting clients from that, but she's also getting like elderly clients, but she's getting listings who she wants to attract. I mean, anyone can buy those listings. Unless they're in a senior community or something. So there's a lot of things you can do it. Something else that I want to do, and you guys and whoever, you know, in your office who's here or not here, social studio. So this is an idea I've had for a while, and that would be something that would be really fun. So we have a space like this, ideally with a couple different rooms. You know, we have one room set up for filming, so we have the ring light, camera, whatever we have in there, the backdrop, however, and then we have our
Like a green screen?
Yeah, our green screen. We have our staging room out here, right? And so we can set up very casually, or we can set up where we like hire a photographer, we all split the cost or whatever, we sell tickets to it. Anyway, so the idea is that like I'll have a bunch of scripts here for you guys to pick from, and you can bring your own. I can be in the videos, I don't have to be in the videos, whatever, but it's a place for you to come, and we have some bubbly, you have a glass of champagne, I'll be your hype girl, get you hyped up, you can practice a few times, and then boom, you go film.
Do some burpees?
Do some burpees. You're on vacation.
I think I'm on vacation that week.
You just get push-ups. I'll make them.
Again, I'll be on a vacation.
But yeah, something like that it's gonna be fun because there's multiple people here.
Mhm.
You can kind of get each other hyped up. And you can do time slots too, like you come in half hours or like in pairs every half hour, so you're not sitting wasting too much time. But like, you know, that's something that you could do once a quarter or something just to get some kickstart and get some content to post out for,
Yeah.
you know, so I'm always up for doing something like that if you guys want. I have done the whole like, hey, like you and me, let's go film videos for 2 hours, and it just usually ends up being like unproductive, and we get a bunch of videos that we don't want to share because they're like low energy, and like, so, you know, it's much more fun as a group and just do hyped up.
Will people get nervous if, like, everyone's like standing there, like, or you mean that's why you have a second room,
Yeah.
like,
One for the sound.
leave
Yeah.
him or her alone?
Mhm.
Okay.
So they'd be in there with the photographer or just with their ring light or whatever. Usually it'd be nice to have, like, I could go in there with you.
Like a sound
You know.
studio.
Yeah, what to do, what not to do. I mean, I'm no expert, and I'm no expert on marketing. A lot of the stuff I've compiled from other places, I've done trial and error,
Yeah.
but, I've built my brand and I do it. People call me Lender Girl, it's kind of like my thing. And so, I do send out Tuesday marketing emails. Do you get those? You might be on there. So if you guys want those, you just send me your info. It's just short and sweet, but just nice little tidbits of stuff every week to, I think I sent out networking tips, like what to do at a networking event. It's like what not to do, eat all the food, stand in the corner, like take your spouse so you don't talk to anyone, and like what to do, it's like, so I try to keep it fun, but, thank you guys so much for having me and for being here. And
Yeah, thank you, Lauren.
I hope that's flowing for you.